Maria. I've just kissed a girl named Maria, and suddenly I found how wonderful a sound can be. Maria, say it loud and there's music playing.
Hi, my name's Dan, and this is a review of the West Side Story album released in 1961. So the background for this is in 1949, that's a few years earlier, a guy called Jerome Robbins approached Leonard Bernstein and Arthur Lawrence about making a contemporary musical stage version of Romeo and Juliet. It's a project they started thinking about, and they called it East Side Story. In 1957, 8 years later, after lots of toing and froing, the first staging of West Side Story, with music by Bernstein, words by Sondheim, and book by Lawrence, opened on Broadway and ran in various other places as well. In 1961, a film version of the musical was released, and the music for the film version was played by roughly 3 times the number of people that were used for the stage show. And this is the soundtrack album from the film. So it's my first time listening to this. I did know some of the songs. It's hard not to know some of these songs. I've not seen the show. I've not seen the film, and I wasn't particularly familiar with it. I do now know the story, but only because I read up on it. I knew that it was a Romeo and Juliet adaptation. I'd heard the terms, the Sharks and the Jets, so I knew there was a gang thing. Didn't know it was set in New York. So apparently these two gangs are, one is, if I got this right, Irish/Italian. The other one is Puerto Rican. I'm more sure about that one. So I'm going to try and do some description and then some opinion, which is what I usually do with reviews. So much context we've just done. Musically, I'd say it's quite unusual in one particular way, in that it's kind of schizophrenic. It's got 2 types of music in it. There are bits that are kind of somewhere between the two, but it quite strongly, certainly with the songs, they're kind of split into 2 different styles. So one of them is kind of jazz-like stuff, particularly for stuff that relates to the gang stuff. When I say jazz-like, it's kind of got this kind of beat poet jazz feel. Man, people think clicking their fingers and saying "man" and maybe even "cat" and stuff like that. I'm not sure that they do actually say that in the show, but it's got that kind of feel to it. Jack Kerouac kind of influence, and there's quite a lot of spiky syncopation in those things. Probably the best song for this stuff, and to my mind, one of the best songs on the soundtrack is "America." It's a hugely well known song. And then the other side of it is the romantic stuff, which is done in what I choose to call the Sound of Music way, kind of classic film score soundtrack musical stuff, slushy and syrupy, with songs like Maria and Tonight and Somewhere. And at times, this is almost kind of treading into light opera style. Is that kind of thing. The incidental music, of which there's a fair few tracks on this soundtrack album, are quite a mix. There's also sections of speech on the album as well. Not a lot of them, but this kind of partly tells the story of what's going on. But it's harder to pick up what's going on because the order isn't the order that they would appear in the actual show. That stuff I find far too slushy, so I'm not a huge fan of the La Maria kind of stuff. Excuse the singing. One of the best songs to my mind is G Officer Krupke, which is a comic song sung by gang members and various people that they encounter. I'm not sure what's going on the screen or on the stage at this point. There does seem to be, I have to say, an accepted way that lowlives and organized criminals and thugs and stuff sing in musicals and talk as it happens. And this is definitely, they're signposted really strongly on here. This then got me thinking about if you had a Venn diagram of gang members and theatre goers, that overlap might be quite small. If you then took, I don't know, gang members and theatre actors, I suspect there's no overlap at all. And so these things have to be signalled, but it feels in some ways a very kind of unreal stereotyping going on here. I mean, I know it's a musical, so I'm only objecting with my tongue firmly in my cheek here, but it is an observation that I have. What do I think of it? Some opinion is what I really want here. I've done a little bit. It's okay. It's fairly interesting. Giving me the kind of fake jazz stuff rather than the real slush stuff. It's quite memorable, which is probably why people have remembered it. I'm fairly glad that I've heard it and that I've got to review it, but I'm a bit on the boundaries. So would I actually seek it out outside of reviewing it? I'm not sure. Some of it, maybe. America, I do really like. As I say, G offers a Krupke, I like. So there's a couple of tracks I particularly like. That's what I think. I know there are some people who absolutely adore West Side Story as a soundtrack. And people that might hate it. And I'd love to know what you think, what your opinion is. So please really share that with me and with anybody else who cares to leave comments. And leave me a comment. But that's it from me for now.
Here you are free and you have pride.
Long as you stay on your own side.
Free to be anything you choose.
Free to wear devils and shine shoes. Everywhere crime in America. Organized crime in America. Terrible time in America.
You forget I'm in America.